All right, and we back. Splendid Radio on Far Side TV. We gonna start it over and get it cracking like that. So we have a very special guest, Miss Amazon. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
All right. So hold on one second. Let me there we are. We part twoing. So with that being said, you come recommended by a very good guy, super punk rocker, hip hop historian, Mr. Ramsey Jones.
Yes. So before we were virtually interrupted, no, we were just saying, speaking on the fact that he was very knowledgeable in hip hop history because he was a part of it. And also he's just an all around good person. He's one of my best friends. So I'm happy he linked us up. That was really cool of him. I had no idea. He didn't say anything to me. So, but
Yeah, no,
he does that. He does stuff like that with me all the time. All the time. Yeah.
he actually had told me, he told me about you last year.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he told me, and then I just kind of I've been following you a little bit. Not I haven't like literally followed you on social media, but I poked my little head in your social media, see what you got going on and whatnot. And I was like, okay. And then when I was getting the calendar together, I said, you know what, this will be a good time. So as we come in, double take part two on them.
Yes.
You're from San Pedro.
Born and raised. Yeah.
Yep, I'm from Harbor City, right down the street, round the corner.
Did you do sports?
I did not do sports.
Because you know that there's always those rivalries with the different high schools and all that.
We are definitely rivals. The Narbonne and Pedro. That was
Oh God, all the time, right?
yeah, nah. It was a couple high school football brawls and whatnot. That was the thing.
I recall.
Yeah, the closest I got to Pedro, really, I went to one summer. I went to Dotson for summer school.
Woo!
She said, "Woo, yeah," but you guys had a what's her name? Who did you guys have? I want to say Apple Apollonia, somebody Prince related from
From Pedro.
yeah, somebody Prince related from Pedro.
A lot of people ran through Pedro. Like it's kind of like that stop in between like LA and Compton and Long Beach. It kind of falls in there, sort of. They either love it or hate it. Um, in Pedro, people from Pedro. So
Like I was saying before in part one, like I was saying in part one, I take people to the Bell, the Korean Bell, but before I get there, I kind of try to tell them about it, but they don't get it, and I'm like, you've seen it in movies. Once you get there, you'll say, "Oh, okay, I got it."
commercials, a lot of commercials. Those basketball hoops up there have been in every basketball scene ever. You notice that?
No.
Yeah, those hoops, the basketball hoops that are right on the side of the bell, because the backdrop is the water. So there's a bunch of commercials where they use those basketball hoops right there at the bell for commercials. Yeah, they shoot up there all the time.
I go right in front of the little dojo type of thing and hang out for my hot little 10 or 15 minutes uh of being a tourist, I guess, or showing people what it is, and then I'm out.
That's it.
Yep, yep,
Good.
in and out.
Good.
So I know you're so punk rock, but uh this is definitely a hip hop and comedic podcast, and then we deal with all types of dope and creative people and whatnot. But I'm gonna try not to challenge you too much. But what was the first hip hop song that ever spoke out to you?
Right. So for the record, I was raised in funk and hip hop and all of that. Into punk later, like it was actually a little hip hop, reggae, and then punk. Um, God, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, street gospel.
Bye.
Sugar Free. I played that album to death, dude. I played the hell out of that album. As far as like West Coast, and then
Okay.
the Chronic 2001 album, I still play that one. Don't tell nobody.
You all right?
You know, I might have been a little more thuggish in my younger years, and so prime example, Sugar Free,
Yeah.
Dr. Dre. Of course, Doggy Style, of course. And then, you know, if you go to the East, like I was into Nas. I was a Nas person. Gosh, you know, but yeah, I tended to be on the less conscious and more thuggish side of hip hop coming up. I got more into the conscious stuff as I got older. But when I was young, terrible, 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 terrible. I met him though, and I'll tell you a story about when I met Sugar Free one time later on. That was entertaining as hell. He's hilarious in person. It is not an act. He is funny.
Oh yeah.
Funny.
Oh yeah.
He's funny. But anyway, go ahead.
Like I said, I'm a little older, so I remember hip hop like before MTV, but like MTV really did a lot in marketing hip hop and really Def Jam related hip hop, and then it kind of branched off to other things. But yeah, so I started out with like kind of like the origin story of hip hop, and then it didn't get conscious till about it was probably conscious about 87, 88, 89. I was that dude who Karis One Edutainment.
I was just gonna mention him. Yeah, I met him a few times. Love him. He told me I could call him Chris. I'll never forget that. But yeah, I remember I actually went to the remember when he had the Temple of Hip Hop?
Yep.
I went I had my children. I took my children. They signed the Table of Hip Hop. I think that day it was Karis. They got to meet Cool Herc. Who else was there? Oh my gosh. Rodney King was there that day. That was interesting. So it was Chris, Cool Herc, Rodney King, not a rapper, but he just was there. And I can't remember who else they got to meet, but I'm surprised I forgot about him. And he's probably one of my favorites, I would say. Yeah.
So
anyway.
we got Amaru back in. He's gonna ride with us till the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying? He came back in for the part 2 as we got it together. But you know what? Your Temple of Hip Hop was a well-worthy Black History moment in time today for this person that we have in office trying to take everything away from us. I feel like you gave us a little bit with the Sugar Free, the Cool Herc.
Big Cheeto.
Nah, that's dope. We had I was in New York at this T-Mobile sponsored really small event, and Cool Herc just popped in. He just popped in.
I believe it.
He popped in, and I was like, dang. I was like, man, you're really looking. And people, I'm not gonna say people don't give him the props that he deserves, but it's to be debated about the whole beginning and all that. But let's take all the debate out the situation. He's definitely a founding father, so you can't take, you can't take that away. So your favorite hip hop movie?
I told you already, and I was saying that it's probably everybody's favorite hip hop movie. Of course, I went with Belly because, and at the time I was younger, and like those were all my, we were all in relationships. Me and Nas were together. You know what I mean? We were together. He didn't know. The other one I liked though was what's the one that Black Thought did? Was it Babylon in Brooklyn?
Oh man, I can honestly say.
Really? So that's the one where I believe they were doing the story of. It's a biblical story. But anyway, it's when he was the two separate families and he got together with a Jewish woman.
No, never are you.
No, it's going down. You got to see that one. That's one of my favorite movies because again, me and Black Thought were together. He didn't know it, but we were together. The Roots, I love The Roots too. That's another one.
You know what? It's so funny you say that. So back around 93-ish, 94-ish, I traveled across the country on a couple of tour buses, a whole lot of hip hop. I mean, a whole lot of hip hop. And it seemed like every city we went to, there was a group like the Roots. Like they, like what they did. This is where I'll give the Roots credit. When I was first introduced to the Roots, I really didn't think what they did was unique like that because I kind of had an issue with Black Thought rapping other people's lyrics. Like I didn't feel what they did was unique. But the funny part about it, there was a group that imitated them in every city. Like literally every city, every large city that I went to, there was a group like them. And then it made me look at them different. And then as the Roots grew, they were good musicians, but they became exceptional musicians. And so then that set them apart. And then there's this guy that I know who used to give the Roots demo tracks. And he let me hear the demo tracks that he would give to them. And then they would sprinkle their magic on it. And then that made my respect level go to another level because the demo tracks that he would give them was so basic. Like it was, and I was kind of like, dang, you got a job doing this for them? Like it's just, but what they would do, because the tracks that he would make wouldn't even have a sample to them. It would just like really be the concept, like the very, and then the Roots would build it up to these great songs. And then I was like, man, you can't even take it away from them. Like, and then the last little caveat, when I found out that Black Thought's favorite rapper was Big Daddy Kane.
Of course it was.
And then I went back and listened to him, and I was like, dude, this was Big Daddy.
Yes.
So yeah, so now I definitely give it up to the Roots. But you know what, I've said it a million times, but what I like most about Belly was the cinematography in the club, and then the way that they made the blue lights jump off of the dark skin. Like the model was dope, but the way that they had the lights on Nas and DMX, and it just gave you that feel, and it felt like you were in a club.
No, it was visually beautiful. It really was. All the talk of going back to Africa, of course, if you were into that movement at the time, then you were like, woo, you know. God, I just thought about something though, not about Belly. So my first guest on my podcast, you know who it was? Positive K.
Dang. Dang.
My Big Daddy Kane, and yeah, that was my first guess. Was
That's
Paz.
dope.
It was interesting circle of folks back then, you know. Anyway.
So I've got this thing where I feel like listening to an album in its entirety is like reading hieroglyphics or writing in cursive. I think it's something that people don't do. I think it has something to do with the way that songs are released in media and all that, where everyone likes the 1 minute story more than they like the actual context of something that has substance. And so every weekend I listen to an album. And last weekend I listened to The Police, Zenyatta Mandata. It's a funny thing about The Police. So one of my closest friends, business partner, his father was like a rest in peace. He was like a guru when it came to knowing music. And so like I liked the Police like in the 80s and kind of in the 90s or whatever, but I never really like gravitated where I could say like, okay, the Police is just this great dope band or whatever.
They are. Anyway, they are. They are.
No, I'm gonna get there.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm gonna get there.
I think they're fun.
So
Yeah.
my buddy's father was like, there's some white dudes trying to do reggae. And he was just going off and he was just like saying that, they're not dope like that. They're just white dudes doing reggae. But I couldn't get the connect. And then I was in my warehouse probably about 10 years ago, and I heard voices inside my head. And when I listened to that, I was like, this is that breakdancing, super hip hop anthem. And then I really listened to the song and I heard all the solos. And so I'm listening to Sting's bass solo. And then I'm listening to the drummer just go off. And I'm like, these guys are, they are kind of talented. And, but my homeboy's father, he's the same guy that said, because I love house music too. I really like house music.
Okay.
And he said he didn't like disco because it was just the same thing going over and over and over and over again. And I didn't get what he meant until about 3 or 4 years ago. And it just hit me. And I was like, oh, he's talking about how disco sounds like it's just a loop. Like it's just lit. And that's
yeah. And what's funny is that I like the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees. So yeah, that was my little disco moment. I think the Bee Gees are the shit. So, but I wouldn't say I love disco.
You know what? To me, disco is what the loop is to hip hop. It's like you gotta find that right little thing. But you know what? I'm gonna give a super shout out to Ben Frank. And Ben Frank, it is in it is in the mail to you. It's your Splendid radio gear.
I like that. Let me see.
Oh, we got our little Splendid radio.
I love it.
Yeah, our Splendid radio hookup. Ben and Amaru, you guys have been faithful. You guys got something coming to you. So I listened to the Police's album, and it was a solid listen. What's the last album that you've listened to in its entirety?
Any kind of music or?
Yeah, anything.
I have to think. I really have to think because nowadays you don't listen to it, and it's
we don't listen to albums.
You skip around. Gosh. I have to think about it. I don't know if it would be a new album.
I tell you what.
You have to listen to a lot of music and a lot of genres of music.
I challenge you to try and listen in the next 10 days to try to listen to an album in its entirety.
No, I have, but I'm trying to think of like which one I really, really liked. I would say, I'm gonna go back to Ramsey Jones. The new Rebelmatic album. I don't know if you listened to it or not.
I haven't.
It's fantastic, and that one I've listened to, God, over and over and over again. It's something where they sound just as good live as they do on the recording.
Okay.
But I listened to that whole thing, and it wasn't just because of Ramsey Jones. It was because it was really, really good. But a lot of people send me a lot of music, and that's why I stopped for a second and I had to think about it. But their new album is really, really good. I listened to that one over and over again. But as far as like older albums, my brain was going into like older hip hop albums that I just fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Talib's album, the one that came out in 2002?
I'm gonna give you one.
Was it Quality? Is that the one? Was it called Quality? Was that the name?
Yep.
That one over and over and over. I love that one a lot. That's one that stuck with me as far as hip hop goes. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm gonna give you one with my old self.
Uh-oh.
All Hail the Queen. In the last 2 months, that has been one of the most solid albums. And you know, it kind of jerks me away because I feel like as dope as Queen Latifah is an actress and a personality, her rapping is like right there. Like, but you forget people because she's a star, they don't look back to who she was as an MC. But no, she was super dope.
She is the shit. You know what else? And I had Queen Heroine came on from the Juggernauts. And
Okay.
she released a new album. I want to say I don't know if it's been a whole year or not, but that album I listened to over and over again too, from beginning to end, and it's fantastic. It's just really well made. It was impressive. I don't want to say I don't listen to a lot of women MCs or whatever like that that I'm too impressed with right now. But that one I listened to on repeat. It's really well made. That's a good album. I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
get. I'm
Awaken the
gonna.
Sleeping Giant. I believe that's what it's called. But she released that one. I don't know if it's been a whole year or not, but that one was really, really, really good. Yeah.
When you said that, I got excited.
Did you?
I got excited. No, no, not. I'm not familiar with the artist you're talking about. When you're talking about, you haven't heard that many female artists like right now, whatever. So, uh, STAHR, Star.
Uh-huh.
She did some stuff with Doom. She's from the East Coast, and she's dope. Yeah, she's dope. And I'm gonna send you some of her stuff. I will definitely turn you on to that. So no, go ahead.
No, there was a. Have you heard of what's her name? Scarlett.
Yeah,
So I was rolling with my daughter. I have adult children. I'm way older than I look. I am, unfortunately. Anyway, so she was playing one of her tracks in her car, and I was like, "Who is that?" And so I started listening to her. I like her. I dig some of her stuff actually. I think the song that was on repeat in my kid's car was, oh, which one was it? Hmm, I can't recall. It's the one where she's talking about not snitching. I can't
yeah.
recall.
I can honestly say,
It's called No Statements. Bam, there it is. She was playing No Statements by her in the car, and I was like, okay. I actually liked that one. There's a few of them by her that I was like, oh, definitely not talking about how pretty she is and whatnot, throughout all her music or whatever. So that was good. You have to send me the other one too, so I can check her out.
yeah, I'll I'll give Star a chance. I I tried. I
Which
tried,
one
but
did you listen to though? Which one?
I cannot even remember.
I'll send you a couple of them. Like that, it caught my attention because it just didn't sound like what everybody's doing right now. It just sounded differently, and so sometimes when the sound is different, my ears will perk up a little bit. After a while, it all starts to mumble jumble and sound the same. Um, so it caught my ear because it just had a little bit of a different sound to it. But anywho,
So we're gonna jump into the next transition of your podcast. Tell us about that and how did it come to be?
I don't know. I'll tell you. My business partner has a company called Hip Hop Organics. He's an MC himself, and he was going on live with his producer, and they were just going on shooting the breeze or whatever. And one day he just told me, "Hey, hop on." I said, "I don't do cameras. I don't like cameras. I'm sorry, I can't help you." He's like, "Come on, it's just me and scientists on here. Come on, just come on." And so I hopped on the live on Instagram and started shooting the breeze with them and cutting up. And I know I've been pretty well behaved because we don't know each other that well, but I'm funny, right? So I get on there and we're just having a good time. And they started asking me to come back on. So every Monday I started coming on Hip Hop Organics on live and talking to them. And I did some journalism. So I did, I would interview different artists and do write-ups on shows and stuff like that. And I was telling him, like, I could do this. I was like, this is something I think I could do. And I was like, I know tons of people in music. And I started from there. And one of his good friends was Paz. So when we got started, that's how he ended up coming on my podcast as my first guest. And I just started hitting up all the different people I know from all the different genres of music. But I also interviewed some Black artists, like artists, painters, um, not just music. I kind of just started interviewing people I found interesting, mostly people of color. Um, did I set it up that way? Yes. But then I also didn't want to be told, like, you can't just do, this, and you gotta include everybody and rah, rah, rah. But initially, that's all I interviewed. One of the other ones was Corey Glover from Living Color, who
Man.
that was crazy. Like I really liked him a lot. We still keep in touch now here and there. Um, but yeah, originally it was just people of color that I was speaking with. And the idea was that people have it in their head, right, that all we do is hip hop. That's all we do. We which is false. The roots of rock and roll are Black. And I wanted them to be aware of that. And I let them know every chance I get. So I started just bringing on punk artists and rock artists and people of color that did damn near anything you can think of, just to show, like, no, this is not all we do. We do it all. And all of it stemmed from us. We originated damn near everything, from fashion to music to everything. And so, yeah, I approach people who I like or I find interesting. Every once in a while, you'll see somebody that's not brown, but the majority of the guests have been people of color. That's kind of my thing. The brand that I had before the podcast, the clothing brand, is also targeting or catering to people of color. So it's people of color that skateboard, that play, musicians that play guitar, people like Ramsey that do it all, and just a representation of me, a mixture of everything. Somebody that likes and that's into everything. So yeah, it's fun. I like it. I get a kick out of it, except for the whole camera thing, which I'm still getting used to. You know, still
Well,
getting used to that. But yeah.
speaking of people of color, and crossing the bridge. So my first concert was Fishbone. This was like 1987,
Nice.
beginning of 87, and my parents were leaving to go on a cruise, and they agreed to let me go. It was, as a matter of fact, it was at the Olympic. They were playing with it's a whole bunch of bands playing at the Olympic, like super old school. So their thing was I could go, but I had to be home by 12. So
That rule too at one point. I get.
so my first concert, I go to the Olympic with my buddy. We get there. I'm just so blown back, so much punk rock, so much ska. Like, and this was probably about like maybe about 1,800 people. Like it was a huge show.
Nice.
And my boy and I, we went to the restroom, and he was older than me. And we were walking out the restroom, and I was like, "What time is it?" And he's like, "It's 12." And Fishbone was nowhere near going on.
Of course not, because they're going on last and they're going on late. Yes.
They were nowhere near going on. So long story short, I ended up getting home at about 4 in the morning. I got to see Fishbone, and I was fortunate that as I was coming in, my parents were getting ready to leave to go to Port Call to go on this little cruise they were going on.
That's
They were
right.
gone for a week, and by the time they got back, all all punishments, all whatever had been forgotten.
That's crazy. Yeah. Fishbone was one of my, earlier loves too, because I always talk about going to shows and not seeing people that look like me there. It's a topic that comes up a lot. And again, I'm a little bit older than I look. I was hanging out with probably people I shouldn't have been when I was really, really young because I liked music so much. But anyway, so I had Norwood was on the podcast. Dirty Walt is in a band called You're the Dragon now.
Yeah.
So it's Dirty Walt, Flying J, who also has played with Fishbone.
Yeah.
They've all been on the podcast and hung out with me on there and chit chatted with me, and it was really, really neat to see people like that you loved growing up, and just chop it up with them. It was it's a lot of fun.
And my memories after that,
Hmm.
I can remember seeing Fishbone at Fender's and Fender's Ballroom, Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I was there the night
Uh-oh.
Angelo climbed up on this beam that ran along the top of the club.
Yes.
And I can't remember if the beam broke or he fell, but it was one of the two. It was many moons ago.
Fell. Don't they have video of that still to this day?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I want to say I saw that clip. Yeah.
I was there.
Wow. Well, good thing he didn't fall on you.
Yeah. I was there. So that was a moment in time. So punk versus reggae, what would be your first love?
I think probably reggae just because the blackness of it all. But I always tell people that reggae was punk music. Reggae was music of the people.
Rebel music.
Bingo. Reggae was a revolutionary music and it was a rebel music. So to me, they kind of intertwined, and it really did for me. It intertwined. So my mom is Caucasian, and my dad is not, and so I'm sure I gave her hell because I was so immersed in my blackness and my culture and representing. Like I just totally went into from reggae right into punk rock. And neither one of them is pro white per se necessarily, depending on what you were listening to. So for me, it just went hand in hand. I started learning more about my history, so that when I did fall into punk, goddamn, I was about as outrageous as they came. I had all that beautiful mixed girl hair, shaved my head, just woke up one day and shaved it off. Woke up and my mom was crying. Are you on drugs? You want to kill yourself? Are you okay? And when we're in Pedro, there wasn't any black girls like me. I didn't see anybody that was doing what I was doing at the time, and going to the shows. And so I kind of immersed myself in that. But yeah, it's all rebel music. It's supposed to be music of the people. Later on, punk kind of got a little diluted for me. But yeah, I want to say reggae because it's my people, so to speak. And then punk, what was right behind it. Yeah.
I'll tell you a time in a space where you know I was very particular. There was a time when they were accepting, and I have nothing against the grunge and all that stuff. Like it's dope. I think it's dope. Like but they used to classify some of that as punk rock, and I just kind of felt like that's not punk rock, man. That's not punk.
No, and I'm kind of a purist too. Like a lot of the reggae I like was like OG reggae artists. When they started getting too soft and it was just a bunch of love songs and stuff, I wasn't as into that. Punk rock when they were like I don't know, like NoFX and stuff like that. I wasn't impressed by that. I could take it or leave it. So I know what you mean. Like grunge is not punk and punk is not grunge. It's its own genre. It's its own thing. There's some badass stuff that came out of grunge, like really good music. Stuff like the Lilith Fair with all the folky songs and all that never could. I wasn't that one. If you're gonna do like love songs and stuff, for me, it had to be like real R&B. I wasn't like a Keith Sweat, Bobby Brown, none of that. Like I was raised with like old school music, so I'm kind of a that's what I mean by a purist. Like I'm into that. But no, grunge is not punk, and punk is not grunge. Those are two different things. Um, but it was good for what it was at the time. And now I don't know what they're doing. Like I just listen to everything. I still try to keep up with what's happening with music. I got so tired of the stuff that was coming out now. I just started going backwards and listening to really old music. So I started listening to really old blues, like Delta blues. I went back to the roots because it seemed like they just kind of lost their way halfway through. I'm like, they're not talking about nothing now. So I just went backwards and started listening to old music again. Um, Man, these kids now are wilding, aren't they?
Well, I'll say this. So to go backwards and then come up contemporary, I liked punk rock a whole lot. Like it was, and a lot of it had to do with down the street and around the corner, the Descendants,
Yeah.
super punk rock band. They're local heroes, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be, we're gonna like what comes from the neighborhood.
100%.
But I liked punk rock, but when I saw um, HR do a backflip and do when I saw Bad Brains go from super dope reggae directly into some hardcore punk, that kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, man, I saw them later on and I was so sad because all they did was reggae cuts and I was waiting for like a punk song from I was waiting, just waiting, and it didn't happen. HR did like a whole reggae set, and I was devastated. I was like, like I was sad. Um, yeah, HR is something else for sure. Um, but I think it depends on if you just look at it as music or if you look at it as a movement.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think my interest lies more in what they're doing, what they're talking about, what they're influencing. Like I go to see some of the kids now, like some of the hardcore shows, and there's some really good music coming out. And then there's some where I'm like, I don't get it. But then I'll talk to the band, and if what they're saying that they represent and what they're trying to get out there hits home with me, I'll be like, all right, I'll back that up. I'll support that. Um, so for me, it still matters what you're saying.
You know, one of the dope things about the punk movement that I kind of gravitated towards was that it was similar to rap in the way that you could have some really talented kids that probably had more personality than they did talent, but the
Yes.
passion that they had, like Green Day, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
when you know what, I'm gonna give you a good one. So I can recall um, Newport Beach, going to see No Doubt when they were a ska band. No punk in them at all, no pop in them, no punk, no pop, just straight up ska band when the lead singer was still alive. And Gwen Stefani was just a member of the group. She wasn't, the front person of the group. And I can remember watching Angelo mix for them on the smallest mixing board in the world. It might have been like a 12 channel mixing board or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing a live show and he's mixing for them. And I say that to say, like, one of the things that I loved about punk was just kind of like seeing a group of kids that just got together in somebody's garage, did it over and over and over and over again, and like people that may not have had pure talent, like may not. Matter of fact, I had a guy who I went to high school with who blew up. His name was John Bunch, and his group was called Sensefield, I think. Sensefield. I can't remember the name of the group, but he was an okay musician, like in high school, but his passion
Yeah.
blew them up to the level of where they really had like band underlings who were like, okay, we want to be like that. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things about punk rock that I really, I guess, admired / adored, was just the passion.
You don't have to be good. You just got to really be into what you're doing, right? You don't necessarily have to be a perfect musician or have perfect vocals, or matter of fact, they prided themselves on sounding pretty bad sometimes, some punk bands. But yeah, the passion for sure was there. There's definitely a correlation between hip hop and punk too. It's another form of rebel music.
Yep.
It's a music of the people. And then when it stopped being of the people, that's what I'm saying. I kind of now I don't
Corporate
know what
interest.
people Sugar Free was. However, what he was doing and dealing and wheeling was a reflection of stuff that was going on in my city and within my family and things that I saw growing up. So I can't even say that. You know what I mean? But when they're talking about things that they're not really doing, that I'm not really seeing, then I'm like, okay, come on. You know what I mean? Dude, when I met him, he's really like that.
Oh yeah.
That is not an act. That is how he is. 100%. 100%. It was the most fun I've ever had. Most fun 30 minutes to an hour I ever had. Dude
In
is
my
hilarious. He's hilarious. What's that?
in my early 30s, I was at this club in Hollywood, and this girl I kind of used to mess with was there, and he came through with a bunch of his friends, and they were just getting at every girl. They were just like
They
going
don't
through,
care.
and she was telling me he was trying hard. He was coming with everything, and I was like, that's what he's supposed to. If you don't listen, if you don't know, if you listen to his music,
Have you met him?
he was living up to the reputation.
He is like that all the time. I don't think he's really has an off button. Definitely entertaining. Definitely a lot of fun to hang around. And I remember saying, I think I said something to him like, it's only 10:30 in the morning, right? Because the stuff that was happening in that room before noon was wild.
I believe you.
Wild.
I believe you.
Yeah. But very nice and personable. Like, didn't come off like a celeb or anything like that. But all that to say, that was a reflection of some of the stuff I saw growing up. Um, so it applied to me, you know.
The dopest performance you've ever seen.
My favorite concert to this day was my first. My favorite concert was my first concert, and that was the Jackson 5 reunion tour. And to this day, I've never seen a show better. Never. I can't. I can't think of anything better that I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's a really high standard to set.
But you know why?
I mean,
Well, a lot of it on top of the talent and on top of being the Jacksons, when they did shows and they did tours, it was like the most, like
it ruined me for life. Like it, and I was young. I don't remember what year that came out. But I was under 10 when I was in the audience, and definitely made me love live music. But nothing has come close to that show ever.
I
Nothing,
know, I can believe it.
nothing ever will. Like people were falling out, just screaming so loud that they were just passing out, just tears coming down their face because they loved them so much. And I think I couldn't talk for like 3 days because my voice was gone from yelling and I mean, but yeah, that was my favorite show to this day. The best one I've ever seen. I could probably say it'll never be topped ever. Like amazing. It was amazing.
Mike has been gone for at least 15 years.
Wow.
And you have Chris Brown just now in the harness and going up and above the audience and all that. When,
Dude,
man, Michael Jackson had the pyrotechnics, he had the harness.
and I saw them all together, and that was not too many people can say they saw the five. You know what I mean? That was wild. And when they get together, their routines were perfectly executed. I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody, and I really, it irks me when people compare different artists to Michael Jackson because it's like, dude, come on, come on. You must not have ever saw him live to do that, to make that comparison. You must not have seen him, you know? Um, so yeah, that was my favorite, best ever concert ever to this day ever. So if you
So
have, please tell me.
I got a good one. So when we had the last presidential election, there was something that I paid attention to. And it seems like a lot of people, it kind of, I'm not going to say it went over their head, but I think that from the last election, we as a society have been inundated with so much information that we kind of don't know which way is up. And I can remember before the last election that you could say something or you could post a picture, and within the metadata, social media would immediately say, oh, this is AI generated. Oh, this is not factual. Oh, this is da 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 da.
Yeah.
But when the last election took place, one of Trump's requests in order to debate Kamala a second time, which she never went for it, and that kind of, I think that was kind of like the trickle down effect of like where we are right now. She said she wouldn't debate him without fact checking in real time, and he would not go for it. He said, I'm not going to, we're not going to do that." My question to you is, does fact checking matter?
In regards to what? Just
Period.
something like this?
No, period.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. Only because, what you say gets written down. What gets written down is taken as law, as word. So yeah, 100% it matters. Does it matter if you're hanging out with your cousin Tyrone and he tells you about the one time he got shot 75 times and still got up and went down to the liquor store and picked up 3 bitches and all? And I don't think fact checking necessarily would be necessary, but there'd be somebody behind him going, "Nigga, that didn't happen. You lie. You're lying right now. Your cousin told us that didn't happen. You only got hit in the knee." You know what I mean? So like 100%, and obviously it matters if you're somebody in political office. I mean, clearly it matters at that point. But yeah, 100%, it does. Yeah.
Though I asked that question playing devil's advocate because the fact that there isn't fact checking is something that really kind of stirred me up. Like I'm just, and it kind of made me feel like, how can people not notice that just went away?
You mean fact checking is gone now?
Oh, for sure. I
Well,
mean,
when
you
you
have,
well,
there are, go ahead.
I was gonna say, why that is. If you have somebody of authority, not mentioning any names, Big Cheeto, who
Yeah.
constantly is feeding you. Can I curse? Anyway,
Yeah.
have the people that are in power constantly telling untruths.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell would they want you to look into what they're saying? Obviously, they want you to just take what they say at face value and run with it and go, yeah, that's what really happened. But right now, that's not where it's at. It's we're living in a time where they say, well, you see that thing you just saw? Yeah, that's not what you saw. What you saw is X, Y, and Z, and they feed it into you until the story changes. Remember that game you used to play when you were young, where one person would tell the next person, would tell the next person, would tell the next person. And by the time it got to the end of the line, the story was completely misconstrued, correct? It's the same thing. They're like, oh, you saw that? Well, no, that's not what you saw. What you saw was, it wasn't a blue shirt, it was a yellow shirt. And then it changes. No, it was a guy, he had a yellow shirt and he didn't do X, Y, and Z. What he did was he went over here. So clearly people that are not telling the truth wouldn't want anything called a fact check to be going on, right?
You know what? That scenario you just explained right there, and I like, man, once I got over 50, I stopped caring about dating myself. But that scenario that you just explained, that's my favorite sitcom storyline.
Really?
Oh, for sure. When four people see one thing happen and then they all tell the story and they grandize each other. Like everyone who tells the story, they're more grand than the other person that told the story, but it's all different. Like every single story, four people, same event, four different stories, totally.
But the bizarre thing that's happening now is we're able to actually see something happen, see it with our own eyes, and still be told that's not what we saw. And that's frightening.
Yeah.
That part of it is amazing, and people are still falling for it. So, full circle, that's why people telling their stories are important.
Yeah.
That's people just be you, do you, say what you need to say. That's vital. That's where music comes in, writing comes in, real musicianship comes in, because yes, you can tell us about your whatever 2027 Lamborghini and your jewelry and so on and so forth, and I'm sure somebody cares about that. However, there's real shit going on right now. There's
Man,
real shit going on right now, and you're
that's a
either with it
fact.
or against it, and that's just what it is. You're for it or you're against it. There's no gray area. That's
You
it.
know, I talk to people and they're frustrated and just kind of want to give up. But I tell them, as frustrated as you are, it's important that we keep asking about them files. whenever the chaos goes on, okay, but what about them files? Because it's important that it's documented, because it may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen 2 years from now, but there's going to be someone who was the 13-year-old you, the 13-year-old me, that's going to ask the question, that's going to have enough angst in them to look it up and say, hey, well, they're going to have better than that because they're going to have video footage and they're going to be able, we're numbed to the point of where we can see two things side by side and see blatant untruths and whatnot, and we're just so exhausted. For the most part, most people are so exhausted. They're just like, but you're gonna get that fiery little 13-year-old that's gonna say, wait a minute, and that's what I look forward to. Like I don't look forward to us being able to make that super distant, that super difference or that super change. But I think if we hold it down, that next wave is going to come and they're going to call, because kids, this is the thing, kids will always call the bullshit, and that's a fact.
They don't give a damn. They really
Yeah,
don't.
that's a fact. So um we are winding down and I got two good ones for you.
Go right ahead.
Three good ones for you.
Oh, now be nice. Now it's late. I didn't work the full shift. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. What you got?
What's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
Well, damn. That's a good one. I don't know. I haven't had too many like influences that I say I look up to be honest with you, in my lifetime. So I don't know if it would be something someone told me directly or something I might have read. But you know what's funny? Because I told you what I do for a living, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one lady uses that phrase all the time. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not advice per se, but it's something that she says all the time. And I'll be like, hey, this you dropped this thing or this thing happened. And she'll be like, well, just well, it is what it is. And I'm like, you're 90 years old. What do you know about it is what it is? But I think it's that idea that you know, moving forward, I don't, that's something I say all the time. I don't tend to look back. I look forward. If you look backwards, you're going to bump into shit. If you're trying to move forward and you're looking back at the same time, you're going to bump your head. You're going to knock into something. And I can't remember who told me that, but I remember that all the time. It's really easy to get into your moods and get in your feels and start thinking about X, Y, and Z who did you dirty and did you wrong and why they do it. Here's my quote. Got it. The one thing, I don't know if it was in therapy or what, where I learned it, but the phrase "the why doesn't matter."
Hmm.
Have you heard that before? The why doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you're in a bad situation, when you're in a negative situation, which I have a history with, you start to tell yourself the reason why the person is doing what they're doing. And at the end of the day, it don't matter why they're doing it. The point is they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do about it? Right? So we could say that the people in power right now have a why. They're doing it because whatever. They want some more money or they want more power or whatever. The point is the why they're doing it don't matter. The point is they're doing it,
Yeah.
right? And how are you going to handle that? The why don't matter. So yeah, I think the why don't matter is probably a good one that I live by. I tell people all the time, people didn't make excuses for me in life. I had
Man.
my own way. Why I was sad didn't matter when I got to work. Why I was late didn't matter. So on and so forth. So yeah, I would have to roll with the why doesn't matter would probably be my favorite quote. Yeah.
All right. So now,
I talk too much sometimes.
nah,
So,
you're so good. Don't even trip off of that. I got one.
sure.
My father said it since I've been 10 years old, very cliche, but right on time. When the student is ready, the master will appear.
Did you
And
ever?
I fought against it so many times, but when life wears you down, sometimes you know what though? My life coach said something similar. He said, every circumstance holds currency until it's been bankrupt. And when it's been bankrupt and it holds no more value, you'll be open to something different than that, you know. So that's it. But the next one, if you had a biopic, what would be the title?
Oh God, couldn't tell you. Oh God,
Punk,
no,
Punkdemic.
no. So that again, just because the name's punks in it doesn't mean that's all I do or all I am. But I just like what the word represents. Hmm, that's a really good one. Okay, tell me yours first.
Oh man,
How about that? How about the Uno reverse? What would yours be?
shoot! If I had one, shoot, 240s in a Newport. You know who knows?
Not 240s in a Newport. Oh, not Newport. Been there, done that. We'll never do it again. I tell you what. Yeah. What kind of 40?
Oh man, none. But I will say this.
Not none.
You know what? I didn't even drink until I was like maybe 30. Had my first drink till I was 30. I was so green that back when I was 23 years old, I liked this girl that I had worked with, and she was like, "Oh, let's hang out and get some beers. And so I was thinking, oh man, everybody likes Heineken. I'll go into the liquor store, I'll get some Heineken. Well, the only thing that I knew about Heineken that it was green. So I went and got a 6-pack of Mickey's. And Mickey's was the polar opposite from everything Heineken is supposed to be. So yeah. So yeah.
Not the Mickey's. Why did you take me there? Ooh. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. No, I think I would call it She Is Amazon.
Okay.
And I would roll with that. Did I tell you how I got the name?
Nope.
Or why I kept it?
Nope.
Because I was tall really early. Like I was probably nine or 10, and I was just tall, and my stature, I'm not a waif model. I'm not built like a little teeny tiny size 6 woman. And the white kids mostly would use it as an insult. You know, you big old tall Amazonian, whoop whoop whoop, you do. It was thrown at me, and I took it, and I just started looking up the word and what it meant and who Amazonians were and so on and so.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, dude, but comic nerd, I have some. Yeah. But anyway, so I took that thing that was supposed to be negative, and I embraced it, and I made it a positive. And it also made me kind of menacing in some words. My real name, when you hear that I'm coming for you, they don't really blink an eye. But when you hear a broad name Amazon when they come knock on your door, you think about yourself a little bit. You might think just a little bit. And so I took that on and made it a positive thing, and made it something that empowered me. So that's why my name online is She Is. Also because the company Amazon
Okay.
took that over, you know what I mean? But I was that before that company ever came to be. So I had to put the She Is in front because of the company. I didn't want to get any, I'm infringing on, but I've been calling myself that and been called that since I was like 12. So many, many years. So that's
And
that.
who would play you?
Damn. I don't know. I've got some hard shoes to fill. That's a good question. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
No, nah. Well, we'll get
only one me. I don't know. I have to really think long and hard about who could be me. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna give some free advertisement to something I saw that was really dope. And the reason I thought about it is with the whole me thinking about your name and then you talking about your name, Amazon, and me thinking of Wonder Woman. I just saw the dopest Marvel series, Wonder Man. It has a lot of dope music in it. It has a lot of Fela. Yeah, it's a good one.
Dude, I love Phila, by the way.
Yeah, I'll say don't let the name fool you.
No, I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, but no, Wonder Man is a good. It was one of my best little digs, my best little finds. So, with that being said, if people want to find you, where can they find you online or your podcast?
So the website for where you can find the podcast and the merchandise is on punkdemic.com. There's a Punkdemic page on Instagram, the Punkdemic. Obviously, my Instagram is She Is Amazon. And then recently, the podcast got picked up by iHeart, so you can actually have listen to Punkdemic podcasts on iHeartRadio as of now. But mostly, yes, go to the website, go check out the merchandise. One of my shirts is Black Punk Lives Matter, and I put it out, God, a couple years ago, and Meta flagged it because it had the phrase Black Lives in it. Yeah, 100%. So what I did was I changed it and I put out brown Punk Lives Matter, and it slid through the cracks. So I was able to advertise that one. But yeah, punkdemic.com is where you want to go.
So, well, no, I really appreciate you. I appreciate Ramsey. He just don't even know. Back to Ramsey real quick before I close it out. Um, he like ODB, his relation to the Jizza, his relation to the RZA, all that's incredible. But in his own right, he's just one of the dopest dudes in the world, man. Like not even, I forget that he's that most of the time. And I'm immersed in him just being so punk rock, so cool, just playing in bands and just, doing his thing. So I definitely want to give Ramsey his flowers, man.
Please
He's
give
a
it.
cool dude.
He's one of my favorite people on the planet, to be honest. He's impressive as a person. He's one of those people that walks the walk and doesn't just talk the talk. Like, he's a real person and he's a real musician.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Any kind of, he plays with hip hop. He's playing with punk rock. He plays with the original dude from the JBs, James Brown's dude. He plays drums for that guy. He's a real one. He's a real one as far as that goes, for sure. So thank you, Ramsey. I'll be calling you to tell you thank you again. And he'll tell you, and it's nothing, in his way. But yeah, for sure.
And I want to thank you because this has been once we did part 2, and I'll get rid of part 1, but once we did part 2 and we got it cracking, it was cool. And I want to give a special shout out to a very talented MC, producer, comedian. You know what? I know too many people that do too many things, and the gift and the curse with that is because they do a lot of things well, it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint the thing within the things that they do. But I want to give a shout out to Amaru, man. He's really a good dude. And also Ben Frank, he's always in the chat. He comes, he visits, he supports and all that. So with that being said, this has been another episode of Splendid Radio on Farside TV, and I really appreciate you.